Yossi. Are we in? I'm here. Who else is here? Is the video live? Can you see it? Akiva. Good morning. Can someone see if the video is working? Is Akiva on? Let's see where Akiva is. And is it live streaming? What's that? Okay, should we start? Akiva, whenever you tell us that we're ready, we'll be ready. Okay, Zok Tehele B'Gemara. Be'emes Amru HaChazan. Frek the Gemara. The Mishnah said that the Chazan HaKnesses is allowed to see is allowed to look at the sefer that the kids are learning. At the beginning of the Mishnah, it says a little otherwise. So let's go back to the Mishnah just to see it clear inside. So on Yud Aleph, Omer Aleph, on the bottom, it says as follows: Lo yafal es kelov, v'lo yikra lo araner. Then it says be'emes amru hachazan roya hechen tinoikus korin. So it says that the chazan could look at the tinoikus reading, aval hu lo yikra, but he shouldn't read. So the Gemara is going to challenge. It says the Gemara understands roya and yikra to be the same thing. So this line in the Mishnah is contradictory. Mineu Bey, Hachazan Roya, and then the second letter it says Aval Hu Lo Yikra. And that's what the Gemara is going to ask now. V'emes Omer Hachazan Roya. For Gemara v'emes v'amrit Roya, v'amrit Reisha Roya. It says right away that Hachazan Roya. So what is the Aval Lo Yikra? A moment later in the Mishnah. My love, Likreis. Do we not say that the simplest way to understand that the Chazan Roya means that he's reading from the text? So Gemara Loi, that the Mishnah said earlier that the Chazan is Roya, that's not really to study the text, rather it's merely L'sader Rashi Parsha Yosef. And Rashi tells us that in those days they didn't have a Balkari. Each guy who got an Aliyah learned his own Parsha. And if he didn't know it well, the Gabbai who would call him up would help him a little bit with the trup and with the Nekuda. And he just had to, he didn't really need to learn it well, he just needed to familiarize himself a little bit with the Kriya so that he can help the Kriya next day. V'chein Amar Rabbi Bar Shmuel Aval Masader Hu Rashi Parsha Yosef. He can't study the text because there it's Rechosh Shemayata, but just to glance it over is allowed. But the Chul Parsha Loy, are you saying that he's just allowed to glance it over but he's not allowed to learn thoroughly the whole Parsha? The Mishnah seems to say otherwise. Meisvei Frek the Gemara. Let me just move the camera around. Meisvei Zok the Gemara. Reb Shimon Gamliel Omer. Akiva, I have a problem. The video of the Gemara is backwards. It's like a mirror. It's like a mirror image. Do you see that? So let me just quickly go into the settings of the camera and see if we can fix that. I touched it. I shouldn't have. Okay, so that's what I'll do. I'll let you remote in. So let me quickly set you up on a remote, and then we'll take it from there. I'm sorry about this. So I'm just going to take a picture of the team viewer, and then I'll send it off to you. And then once you're done, I'll log it out. Yeah. Okay, give me 1 second. Let me, well, we can leave it live. You'll just flip it around while we're doing it. Let me just send this to you. Okay, I just sent you the team viewer thing. Yes, I do. There's an exposure button, and then there's the blue button and the AF button. Which one should I push? Should I push those buttons? I WhatsApped it to you. Should I try pushing those buttons, or I might make it worse? Okay, I'll let you deal with it and I'll continue. Okay, so sagt the Gemara weiter. Meisher, Reb Shimon Gamliel Eimer, hat Yinoikosh shal beis Rabban, hoyu mesadrin Parsha Yosef, v'koirin lar haner. You see, the Tanoikos would learn the whole Parsha. So if the Tanoikos would learn the whole Parsha, at this point the Gemara doesn't see a difference between the Tanoikos learning and an adult learning. So the Gemara is asking, how could you say that the Chaz Knesset is only allowed to look at the Rashi Parshiyos? You see here that the Tanoikos could do the whole Parshiyos. So if the Gemara, Iba Yisema Rashi Parshiyos, either you'll say even the Tanoikos could only learn Rashi Parshiyos. Iba Yisema, shiny Tanoikos are different. Hoyel ve'emes Rabban aleim. We don't have to worry about them being mata, because they're afraid that their Rebbe is going to give him a frask if they moved in there. So they're not going to touch the there. And therefore, we don't have to worry for children who are learning under their Rebbe. However, for an adult on his own, he would not be able to read Lar Ner. He could only look at Rashi Parsha Yosef. And Duran brings down from the Yerushalmi another pshat of why you're not choishish for Shema Yateh by a child is because he's looking to have the light get extinguished because he wants to run away. He doesn't want to sit there in school. Zok Tehel Gemara Vayter. Tanya. Reb Shimon ben Elazar Aimer. Reb Shimon ben Elazar says, Boi Ure'ei. Come and see at Hechan Parza Tahir B'Yisrael. How incredibly the inyanim of Shemiras Tahira have proliferated in Klal Yisrael. Shaloi Shaminu. The Mishnah doesn't say L'yochel HaTahar Ima Tmeya. The last part of the Mishnah says, and I skipped the Dibra Maskul, Kayotzibay L'yochel Azov. Azov shouldn't eat with a Zava. Why didn't it say a Tahar shouldn't eat with a Tmeya? Why did it have to be Dafka Azov with a Zava? Why didn't it discuss a Tahar with a Zava? The teretz is because Rashi tells us that you wouldn't have to worry about it. Zokt Rashi, Mipnei Erva, Shaninu L'yochel Tar Mipnei Erva, L'fi Shalei Hitzerchu L'kach. The Chazal didn't even need to tell us that. Shakulan Oichlin Chulein B'Tahir Hoyu. In those days, all the people were makpid only to eat even their chulin when they're tahar, and therefore when their wives were nida, they wouldn't even eat with them. So there we didn't need Chazal to tell us because because they wouldn't, because they were very makpid on keeping the chulin tahor. Ella lo yochel azav and azava, but azav, who anyway is tummy, there Chazal had to tell us that even he shouldn't eat with his wife, mipnei hergal aver, because our concern is that if they're together, that chiba will bring to doing a ma'is aver. Kayotzeboy, similarly you find, lo yochel zav parish im zav ha'aretz. If there are two zavim that are tummy, one is makpid on keeping all of his things tahor, and the other one, who's an amoritz, he doesn't care to keep his things tahor. They're not allowed to eat together, even though they're both tummy anyway. Because Shema Yagilenu Etzlai. Because we're afraid that the Zav Tar will get used to hanging out with the Zav Parish will get used to hanging out with the Zav Amoritz. For Gemara, why would that be a problem? The Mcgillvray Etzlai, even if the Zav Parish who's tummy will hang out with the Zav Amoritz who's tummy, why is there a problem? Why is there concern? My have. Anyway, they're both tummy at this point. Ela ema shema yachilenu devarim tamein. We're afraid that the zav will eat, the zav that's parish will eat something that's tummy. For the Gemara, that makes no sense to worry about that. Altu zav parish lav devarim tamein achil. A zav who's a parish, whatever he eats is anyway tummy, because he's a zav. So he touches it before he eats it. So whatever he eats will be tummy anyway. So what is the concern about a zav tummy who's a parish eating with a zav tummy who's an amoritz, if anyway anything he touches will be tummy? Amar Abaye, Zokt Abaye, Gzeira Shema Yachilenu Devarim She'enin Mesukanim. The fears that the zav who's an amoritz will have food that he didn't take trumas and maishus from. He has tevel, and we're afraid that if the zav who's a parish, who's a talmid chacham, hangs out with the zav who's tummy, forget the fact that he's eating tumah, but the zav that the amoritz might share with him his food, and his food might be tevel. For Rav Amar, you never need to worry about tevel, because roiv amei haaretz ma'asrin hein. Roiv amei haaretz anyway take meiser, so it's a very small chashash that there'll be a problem anyway, and since it's a very small chashash that there'll be tameh anyway, you don't have to prohibit a zav parish from eating with a zav amoritz because of that. Zok to Gemara. If that's the case, what's the problem? Elashema yehiragel etzloi v'yachilenu dvarim tmein b'meit harasai. Rather, the problem is that we're afraid if they hang out together, the zav parish and zav talmid chacham, sure, right now they're both tummy anyway. But if they have this relationship and they become accustomed to eating together, then even when they're retire themselves, we're afraid they'll eat together, and then the parish will become tummy. This is a very interesting shaila. This is an adult-focused shaila. Iboilhu nida ma'u shetiyashin in baila he bebigda v'hu bevigdoi. May a nida sleep in the same bed as her husband? Of course, they're not allowed to sleep together b'kira basar when their skin is touching. But what if they're each wearing their jammies? And anyway, they're not going to have direct contact. Can they sleep in the same bed? Are we okay? Akiva, are we okay? What's that beeping? So the Gemara wants to know, Akira, are we okay? Okay, Dr. Gemara weiter. So what the halacha is a... Can anybody hear me? I can't hear anybody anymore. I hear a lot of muffled, garbled talk. Hello? Okay, I'll continue because I'm not sure what's going on. It might even be broadcasting more clearly on the live stream than it is here. But I'll continue. Mauti Yoshin in Baila he bevigda fu bevigdoi. Is the husband allowed to be with the wife if they're each in their own set of clothing? Zok Gemara. Amar B'Yosef Toshma. Let's see if we could bring a raya whether or not this is mutar or asur. Ha'oif oila imagvina al shulchan. We know that we're normally not allowed to have basar and chalav on the same table. So, but basar oif, it's a shaila if basar oif bechalav is asur midrabanan or if it's asur midaraisa. So the Brisa says, ha'oif oila imagvina al shulchan. You're allowed to have oif, which is chicken or other poultry, on the same table as cheese, and you don't have to worry about someone might by mistake might eat them together. But you're surely not allowed to eat them together because it's asur midrabanan. Nevertheless, you're allowed to leave them on the table together. And Rashi says, you're allowed to have the basar oif near the cheese. The Kasavi Beishamai, basar oif bechalav lav doiraisa. Beishamai holds that there's no issue doiraisa with basar oif bechalav, and therefore v'lo gazrin hala atu achila. Since even if you ate it together, it's only midrabanan. Therefore, merely placing it on the table, there's not even a gzeir for at all. Divrei Beishamai. That's what Beishamai says. Beis Hillel Omer. Beis Hillel says, Loy oila v'loy nechal. You're not allowed to put it on the table together, and you're not allowed to eat it. And that's because Beis Hillel holds it's deraisa. But whatever the halacha is, you see from Beis Hillel that we make such gzeiros. We make gzeiros, don't keep things together because it might come to eating them together. So by the same token, the Gemara wants to stretch and say that a man cannot be with his wife in the same bed, even if they're in their own pajamas, because it could lead to a naver. So tomorrow you can't bring a raya from Beis Hillel. Kishani hasam the lekadeyos. There, you're only sitting there by yourself. You have nobody to watch you or to warn you, and you have this milk and this chicken together. That's exer. But over here, there's two people. So if he wants to touch her by mistake, if he wants to move on and make a move on her, she'll stop him, or vice versa, because there's two people to watch each other. And therefore, you shouldn't bring your raya just because it's usher to bring basar oif and gavina on the table together. That's not a proof that it would be usher for someone to sleep with his wife who's a nida, hu bevigdoi, vehi bevigda. Hachadami mistaver, and I'll prove to you that there's such a distinction. TheAgudah shiny. I'm going to show you a case that when there's two people involved, we're actually not geyser. The Katani Sefer, the Sefer of that Brisa says, Reb Shimon ben Gamliel Omer, Shneach Snayim, if there are two hotel guests, Oichlun al Shulchan Echad, and they're sharing a table, you're by a rest area, and there's two strangers sharing a picnic table, Zeh Oichel Basar, V'zeh Oichel Gevina, one of them could be eating dairy, and one of them could be eating meat. Ve'ein choshishin, and they don't have to be concerned that they might mix or share their food. Why is that? So you see the fact that there's two people involved makes it automatically safer because one person will protect the other. Gemara, that's not a raya. V'la Mar Allah, did we not learn a parish on that brisa? Amar Chanim bar Ami, Amar Shmuel, Lo Shonu el she'ein makirin zeh. The only reason why two strangers can sit on the picnic table together, one eating meat, one eating gevina, and there's no concern that they'll mix, is because they don't know each other. So there's social distancing. They're not going to reach over and take somebody else's food. Avul makirin zeh, but if they know each other and they're friendly, asur, then it would be asur, because the fact that they're friendly would automatically lead to them sharing food, and therefore it would be asur. V'hachanami, and so too, when the husband and wife are in bed together, even though they're wearing clothing, makirin zeh, they know each other, and because of that, we're choshed that it could lead to an isser. Hasam deyos ika shinui leka. There, when the two people are sharing a table, you know why it's usher if they're friendly? Because there's no sign in between them. There's nothing there that would remind them, in fact, that they have to keep separate because one has meat and one has milk. But hacha, in our case, with the husband and the wife in bed, ika deyos, sure, they're friendly and they're in bed together. But ve'ika shinui, they're also doing something different. They're wearing pajamas. And this is a very interesting social piece of information. It wasn't normal to wear pajamas. And let's see what Rashi says. Ika shinui she'ein derech lishon elo b'kirav basar. The derech is to sleep without pajamas. The derech was to sleep naked. Kedichsiv she'era ksusa vaynasa. There's three things that a husband has to give his wife. She'er ksusa naina. V'amar mar she'er. What is the definition of she'er? Zeh kirav basar. One of the obligations that a husband has to his wife is to be in bed with her without any clothing on. That pleasure is something that he has to give to his wife. So you see, that's how it is. You sleep without pajamas. Shim Amar I Efshi El Hibi Vigda. If a husband says, you know what, I don't want to sleep near my wife. I'm only willing to sleep in the same bed as my wife if we each wear our own pajamas. Then the halach is Yartzeit ksuba. He has to divorce her and he has to pay her ksuba because he's not willing to fulfill his obligation towards her. So therefore, since he's doing something unusual and he's wearing his own beged, maybe you wouldn't have to worry and maybe it should be mutter. Ikad Amri. There was a whole other way that this Shiloh was presented. Tashma. Two guests are allowed to eat on the same table. Zebosar, v'zagvina. One meat, one cheese. V'ikmarla, and we learned, Amar Chaim bar Abi Amar Shmuel, Lo ishanu ela she'ein makirin zeh. We only said this halacha if these two guests don't have a relationship. Aval makirin zeh, if they have a relationship, osir, then it's going to be osir. V'hani nami, and these people over here, the husband and the wife, makirin zeh, and therefore it should be osir. Zok Gemara, no, it's not a raya. Ha someday ika shinu leka. By the case of the two guests, one eating meat and one eating cheese, they're friendly, and there's nothing there that is done differently to make them aware of the fact that they have to stay separate. But hacha, when there's a husband and wife in bed and they're wearing pajamas, ika deyos ve'ika shinui. Not only are there two people together, but you also have the fact that they're wearing pajamas, which is unusual, and that will protect them. Tashma. Lo yoichel azov im azova. Our Mishnah says, azov will not eat with azova, mishum hergal avera, because it could lead to an avera. So you should have a raya from here that we have to be geyser, that even hu b'vigdoi, he b'vigda, they're not allowed to sleep together. So k'lamara hachanami deyos ika shinu leka. By the zav and zava, when they're eating together, there's no shinui, there's nothing done differently. Therefore it's going to be a problem. But if they're in bed together and they're wearing pajamas, there we're not worried. Now, what's interesting to note is, by us nowadays, with a shinui, azov could eat with a zava. Our minig is, the halacha is, that if you want to eat with your wife who's a nida on the same table, you have to put some type of hefsek. You have to have something there on the table that doesn't normally belong there, and that shinui is what protects us, and it eliminates the chash that it'll come to an isser. Tashma, very interesting pasuk in the Navi Yecheskel. It says, El ha-harim lo yochal. This was a chash of a person, he didn't reach out to the harim. What are harim? Zok Rashi, harim is referring to the avos. This was a man who has so many schusim on his own that he didn't need to tap in to the schus avos. He was able to rely on his own schusim. Ve'einav le'nasa al galulei beis Yisrael. And his eyes never looked towards Avodah Zarah. He was a pure person. Ves eshes re'eu lo timei. He never violated his friend's wife, an eshes. And then right near that, it compares it to Vel Isha Nida Lo Yikrav. And he never came near his wife who was a Nida. So you see, the pasuk is equating an Eshes Ish with Ishta Nida. Makish Isha Nida La Eshes Re'eu. The pasuk is comparing the woman who's a Nida to an Eshes Ish. Ma Eshes Re'eu Hu B'Vigdai He B'Vigda Aser. Just like with an Eshes Ish, of course someone's not allowed to be in bed with somebody else's wife, even though they're both wearing pajamas. So too, af ishte nida, so too with your own wife. If she's a nida, hu b'vigdoi, the b'vigda, osir will be osir, shema mina. So the Gemara's final psak is that in fact, it's osir for someone to be in bed with his wife who's a nida, even though he's wearing his own pajamas and she's wearing her own pajamas. Upliga derav pados. And this psak, which asers someone to be in bed with his wife, each one in their own pajamas, this argues on Rav Padas. Damar Padas, lo osr Torah and lo kurva shel gilu arayis bilvad. The only type of iser that the Torah answered is a true arayis, a true bia. Shenemar, ish, el kol she'er b'sarei lo sikruvu legalos erva. And from there we learn that it's only if it's gilu arayis. And Rashi tells us gilu arayis, tash mishmamish. That's the only thing that's usher. The shar korva and any other type of korva, v'afilu kirav basar, even to sleep with an erva without any clothes, sleeping together, that's only usher midei rabbanan. That's only usher midei rabbanan. V'hi b'vigda, but if it's even more removed, meaning she's wearing her own pajamas, afilu midei rabbanan lechlan megzer. There's not even a makom to be gosher midei rabbanan. That's a very big kula. I can't imagine anybody should try that at home. Zog to Gemara weiter. Ula ki have ose mebei rav. These are very, very interesting Gemaras here. Ula, when you would come home from Beirav, when you would come home from yeshiva, have a menasheklu lachvose abei chadayu. He would kiss his sisters on their breast. I don't have an explanation. For amula abei yadayu. And there are those who say that he kissed them on their hands. This story that he actually kissed his sisters is inconsistent with something else that he said. Any type of closeness between a man and an erva is osir. So surely he should not be allowed to kiss his sisters. Mishum lech amri nizira. We tell the nazir, stay far away from any iser. Schor, move away. Don't even get near the wine. Don't even get near the vineyard because it's too dangerous for you to even be close. The Satmar Rebbe said on this is lech amr nazira. Even a nazir, even somebody who's on a high madrega, he's parish from the Welt. Even such a person, Zot the Satmar Rebbe, we tell him he has to stay far away from Averis because he can get chapped in very easily. Tanad ve'elio. Now we have a story that Elio Novi said over. Tanad ve'elio. Ma'asav a Talmud echad. There was once a Talmud, Sheshana Harbe. He learned a lot. He's a big Talmud Chacham. Vikara Harbe. V'shimish Talmid Chacham Harbe. So he learned Gemara, learned Mishnayos. He was Mishamash Talmid Chachamim. Nevertheless, Umeis Bechatzi Yamav. He died as a very young man. His wife couldn't accept this terrible decree. V'haise Ishtoi Noitelas Tfilof Umachsartem Bevetek Nesiyos Uvatim Midrashis. She would walk around with his tefillin, and she would go from shul to shul challenging the Talmidei Chachamim, learning in the different Batim Midrashim. And she would tell them, I don't understand. Ksiv b'Torah, it says in the Torah, Ki hu chayecha v'orech yamecha. This is your chiyus, this brings you life. Baili, my husband, Sheshana Harbe, he learned so much. Vikara Harbe, V'shimish Talmidei Chachamim Harbe, and he was Mishamish Talmidei Chachamim. So he did everything right. Mipnei ma meis bechatzi yamav. Why did he die such a young man? V'lehaya adam machzir davar, and no one was ever able to give her an acceptable answer. Pam achas, one time, nisarachti etla. So Elionov is saying, I had the occasion to be her guest. V'haisa masicha kol oisa me'ura. And she told me the ganze Geschichte, how my husband was such a tzaddik, and here he died so young. How is that possible? V'martila, and so I asked her, Biti, my daughter, B'meni duscha, when you were a nida, ma'u etlacha, what was his relationship with you? Amar li, what are you talking about? Chas v'shalom, afilu be'espektana l'nagabi. He wouldn't even get near my pinky. He was so parish, he was so nizar and nida. He didn't get near me when I was nida. So Elio pressed on. What happens after the 7 days of nida when you were counting Shiva Nekiyim? Because we count Shiva Nekiyim, we're machmer, even by a nida to count Shiva Nekiyim, because B'nai Yisrael count Shiva Nekiyim even on Tipas Dam Kecharda. So he said during those Shiva Nekiyim, Achal imi, V'shasa imi, V'yashin imi B'kir Basar, he was all over me, But also died to Eldover Acher. He didn't ever think to push any further. So then I told her, now I found his chet. Baruch HaMokim Shahargoi. Gebenchu the Eibishter that killed this man. Shalei Nosa Panim LaTorah. He didn't have proper respect to the Torah. Shari Amr Torah Vel Isha B'nidas to Mosle Sikrav. It says a person's not allowed to be near his wife when she's a nida. And he did. So the first question is, how did this chassid do something like that? So Tosfos in one of his pshatim says something very interesting. He said the minhag there was midaraisa after the shiva shemei nida, the woman could toivel and she's Torah. We count shiva nekiyim. So Tosfos in those days, what he did was she would toivel right after the yemei nida, which took away her daraisa dikatum. Excuse me, which took away her daraisa dikatum, and then she still counted shiva nekiyim and she toiveled again. So this person was, when he was close to his wife, it was already after the first tefillah. Anyway, Ki Asher Rav Dimi Amar, Rav Dimi said that the case there with this yid that he was near his wife during the Shiva Nekiyim, Mita Chada Havoy. It was one bed, and Rashi says it was a wide bed. It was a very wide bed. So even though he was in the same bed as his wife, but it was such a wide bed, it was like a king-size bed, that he was able to sleep on his side of the bed, and she was able to sleep on her side of the bed, and there was no cure of basar. In Marava they said, Amar B'Tzak Bar Yosef, Siner Mafsek B'Nei. She wore some type of garment, like knickers, that covered her from the waist and down. So she was sort of protected from any isser happening, and those were the conditions under which she slept in the same bed as her. Zok Tehel Gemara weiter. Ve'elu min ha'halachos she'amru ba'aliyos Chananya ben Chizkiya ben Garan. These are from the halachos that were said in the attic of Chananya ben Chizkiya ben Garan. Now, the story with this aliyah, the Gemara is going to discuss it soon, is there was a problem with Sefer Yecheskel. There were two psukim in Sefer Yecheskel that seemed to contradict the Torah, and they wanted to permanently hide and put away Sefer Yecheskel. So Chananya ben Chizkiya ben Garan locked himself up in this attic to find the answer, to find the understanding, to find the explanation of these psukim, and to understand why in fact they don't contradict the Torah. So when he was there, a group of people once came to visit him, and when the group of people that came to visit him, there were more people from Beis Shammai there. They came to visit him, and Nimnu v'Rabu Beis Shammai al-Bizil. There were more people there who accepted the opinion of Beis Shammai than Beis Hillel, and therefore v'Yud Ches Dvarim Gozru b'Rabbeinu. So first, there's a lot of psukim that came out in favor of Beis Shammai that day, and there were 18 gzeris that came out that day from that visit in the attic with Chananya ben Chizkiya. So now let's see what the Gemara is saying here. Amalei Abai le Rabbi Yosef. Abai asked Rabbi Yosef, does our Mishnah read Elu without a vav? Elu min halachish amru? Oy ve'elutnan? Or is the vav that we actually have in our Mishnah, is that the right way to read it? What's the difference? Zok Rashi, if it says Elu min halachish, then what the Mishnah means to say is Elu, the halachas that we're going to list in the future, those halachas were said in Aliyas Beis Chananya. But if it says the word ve'elu, it means it's going back to the last halacha we learned at the end of the last Mishnah. What's the halacha we learned at the end of the last Mishnah? We learned about not using a ner, we learned about the zav and zava. So if it says ve'elutnan, it means we're going back. Those halachas that we discussed at the end of the last Mishnah, they were discussed in the Aliyas Chananya ben Chizkiya. So that's the Gemara Shaila. Elutnan or ve'elutnan? Zok Gemara, ve'elutnan, hani da'amran, if it says ve'elu, it's referring to what we learned just in the last Mishnah. Or elutnan, or maybe the word is elu without the vav, and it's referring to the halachas that are going to be discussed in the next Mishnah. Zok Gemara Tashma. We have a brayso that says, Ein poilin la'ar haner, ve'ein karin la'ar haner, ve'elu min ha'alacha shamu ba'aliyas Chananya ben Chizkiya ben Garan. We have a brayso that very explicitly states that the halachas of Ein Poil La'ar and Vein Karin La'ar, those two halachas were said at the Aliyas Beis Charon, so that's what it must be referring to. Tan Rabban, Mi Kasav Megillas Tainus. Rashi tells us Megillas Tainus was a Megillah that was written, it was a scroll that was written to record all the days that special nisim occurred to Klal Yisrael, and on those days we don't say Tachanun. Now that, in my opinion, is a very incomplete, because if you go to Chassidus Shtibel, for every day of the year, they have a Rebbe's Yartzeit, so that we don't ever have to say Tachanun. I remember there were certain Shtibel we would go to, because they never said Tachanun there, because it was always some Rebbe's Yartzeit. So that was an extension, I would say maybe that's an extension of the Megillah's Tainus, where they had more days, they added more days to the calendar where you cannot say Tachanun. But anyway, the Megillah's Tainus did record bona fide Nisim, and on those days, we don't say Tachanun, and we don't fast. So Amru Chanani ben Chizkiah b'Tzeyasoi, who wrote the Megillah's Tainus? It was Chanani ben Chizkiah and his fellows, and his fellow Talmidei Chachamim. And why did they do that? Shehoyu mechabebin es hatzaros. They loved tzaros. Rashi tells us, what does it mean they loved tzaros? It means they loved to celebrate the geula, the salvation from the tzaros. And that's why they recorded it, because they wanted to remember the chesed that their Rebbeinu Shalom did with them. The shaila that they're going to ask is, so that's not really the best way to express it. They could have said, Shoyu mechavin es ha-yeshuas, Shoyu mechavin es ha-nisim. What's up with the tzaros? So the Mashal says, is that since they had complete emunah in the Rebbeinu Shalom, they were happy even when they were going through a shas tzara, because they knew that's also for their good, and that's also from the Rebbeinu Shalom. And the Mashal adds, and it's good for that acceptance of the tzaros, and knowing that the tzaros are good for us, that actually led to the nisim. So I'm just thinking to myself, right now we're going through a very big communal tzara, and we're going through some very, very difficult times as a community, as a nation, as a world. So if we accept the plight that we're in, b'simcha, and we know that Hashem is doing it for our own best interests and for our own good, we can surely expect to see a great Yeshua and big Nisim b'karv. Amar Reb Shimon Gamliel, Af anu mechavin es hatzaros. We nowadays, we also appreciate the Nisim that the Rebbeinu Shalom did for us. So why aren't we carrying on this tradition of continuing to record the Nisim that happened to us and make a Yom Tov out of them? Zok Reb Shimon Gamliel, Avoman Nasa, what should I do? Shimbanu lichtoiv einan maspikin. We have so many tzaros nowadays. We're bombarded from every side with anti-Semitism and with other problems. If we had to write all the Nisim and all the salvations of all the tzaros that we suffer, we would never finish writing it. That's why we stopped writing it. Dover acher, ein shoyte nifka. We're already numbed. We've been so bombarded with tzaros, we're already numbed to the tzaros, and we don't even appreciate them anymore. Dover acher, ein basar hameis margish be'ismol. We're like dead meat. Once we're beaten up so much, we're dead meat. We don't even feel it anymore. Any fact Gemara, are you claiming that you don't feel a mess doesn't feel any pain? Is that so? You see, even though you say, come on, it's just a figure of speech. He's just trying to say that we're so beaten we don't feel it anymore. But the Gemara's makbid on every word that's said has to be accurate. And technically, it's not accurate that basar mace does not feel pain. The worm biting into the meat of a mace is painful. It feels just like someone is putting a needle into your skin when you're alive, and that's painful. His meat on him will feel pain, and his soul will mourn. So how could you say that we don't feel it anymore because we're like basar mace? If somebody has some dead skin, some dead meat on his body that died, even though he's still alive, that meat will no longer have active nerves, and that meat, if it's poked, will not cause any pain. So to us, we're Klal Yisrael, we're alive, but we have so much pain from so many tzaros that we have, we don't feel things anymore. We already almost accept things. Amar Yehuda Marav. You know, there's a very famous story about this guy who said, there's this Meshuggah in Germany who woke up one day and he announced to the world, I want to kill all the Jews in the world, and I want to kill all the barbers in the world. So everybody asks, why would you want to kill the barbers? So the obvious answer is everyone expects that he's going to want to kill the Jews. This great man, Hananiah, is remembered for a great thing that he did. Hananiah ben Chizkiah, he's the one who's remembered for good. Shilmalehu, if it wasn't for Hananiah ben Chizkiah, Nigna Sefer Yecheskel, we would have had to completely put away Sefer Yecheskel and pull it out of circulation. Why? Shahayu Devarav Soishu Divrei Torah, because there were things in Yecheskel that were a stira to what it says in the Torah. And let's see what those things were. Zogt Ahela Rashi, Divrei Torah, Zogt Rashi, we know that it's osher to eat a nevela. In Yecheskel, the pasuk says that nevela trefa lo yoichlu hakoyanim. The pasuk says kohanim are not allowed to eat nevela trefa. Well, that would seem to connotate ha Yisrael oichlin. Would that mean to tell us that a Yisrael may eat nevelas and trefas? So that was a real problem in Sefer Yecheskel. The Sefer Yecheskel says that nevelas and trefas are only osher to kohanim, which seemingly excludes Yisraelim from that Isser. That's definitely not true. So that's one problem they had. The second problem they had was, it says, L'chein tasa b'shiva b'chodesh, it talks about a carbon, heicha nirmas carbon zebetorah. We don't know where this carbon that's talking about Yecheskel Hanavi, we don't know what it's talking about. So ma'asa, what did they do? Ha'elu lo gimel me'is garbi shemen. He took with him 300 garbi, it's a shiur. I don't know how big the shiur is, but it took a big supply of oil. And Rashi says the purpose of that supply was he should have light to be able to see, and he also used it as nourishment. So he literally holds himself up in a place so that he can concentrate on understanding Yecheskel. V'yoshev b'aliyah, and he sat himself in this attic. V'darshan, and he didn't come out of there until he got pshat. And Rashi tells us how he answered the question of why it says only that kohanim did not eat nevelas and trefus. And Rashi tells us, Kididashinon lahani kroi b'menachos. Why is it that the Novi Yecheskel only talks about the Isser Nevela to a kohen? It's because kohanim are allowed to eat nevelas. When are they allowed to eat nevelas? They should the ishtri malika b'chatas oif kabayu. A chatas oif is not shechted; it's a malika. That technically is a nevela, and we know a kohen is allowed to eat the meat of a chatas oif. So since the kohanim sometimes eat meat that would seem to be a nevela, you might think that they're exempt from the Isser Nevela that all of Klal Yisrael has. So that's why the Novi Yecheskel had to reiterate that kohanim aren't allowed to eat nevelas. So you cannot be medayek kohanim can't eat nevelas, but a Yisrael can eat nevelas. Avada Yisrael can't eat nevelas. But even kohanim who sometimes eat birds that were not shechted, that were neg on, which you might think is a nevela, and therefore you might extend it and say that kohanim are exempt from this nevela, and that Yecheskel said they also have an Isser Nevela. Before I go weiter, I just forgot to mention one very important thing. We learned on Amud Aleph, the halacha, that you're not allowed to learn La'or Haner because you might adjust it. So the Achronim ask a very pashut kasha. That's good for every Friday night. But what happens if Seder night falls out on a Friday night? That occurred even in the Mishnah's times, that the Seder night was Friday night. And they had to be able to read from the Agudah. How are they allowed to read from the Agudah on the Seder night if they absolutely need a lamp? And you're not allowed to read La'or Haner. That's kasha number one. Another thing that occurs Friday night is Yom Kippur. If Yom Kippur falls out on a Friday night, there are special tefillas and special tchinas that were said. How could they say them if they can't read from their machzer if it's dark? So the Achronim answer that Pesach is once every few years. It doesn't fall out every day, every time on a Friday night, and not every Friday night is Pesach. So being that it's such an unusual event, we're not worried that by that event they'll be mata, because it's a very unusual, exciting event. That's number one. Yom Kippur, there are those who say that Yom Kippur there's Emes Adin upon us. We're coming here to do tshuva with such a shmira, in such a mindset, we don't need to worry that someone is going to adjust in there to take a closer look. I also forgot to mention, and I almost made light of it, that Ula, we learned in the Gemara, came home from the Beis Medrash and kissed his sisters. How could he do that? So I forgot to read the Tosfos. So I just want to quickly read the Tosfos. There's a small Tosfos at the bottom of Yud Gimel Amud Aleph, and it says Upliga Didei Didei. Zok Tosfos, V'hu Haya Yodea Ba'atzmai. Ula knew that he wouldn't be nichel in any type of hear by kissing his sister. V'hu Yodea Ba'atzmai Shelo Yavilu Dei hear. You know why? Shetzadik Gomer Haya. He was so purified that this, in fact, did not impact him. Kidarmin Perk Beis Ksubis, the Rav Adar Bar Ava, Markav La Kaspe. Rav Adar Bar Ava used to give the Kalas shoulder rise, Umarakav, and he would dance with them. Amalei Rabbanon, Anan Maul Mevar Hachi. They asked Rav Adar Bar Ava, should we all go into the Ezra's Nashim and pick up women and dance with them on their shoulders? Amar Lei, Idami Lachain, Ki Kishura, if these women impact you like a wooden beam, in other words, they have absolutely no impact on you, and you're not going to have any hear whatsoever from it, l'chayin, go ahead and do it. But v'loi, loi. So therefore, nowadays, of course, we can't even contemplate such a thing. But Ula was in such a high madrega that he viewed the women like they were bored, they had zero impact on him, and therefore he was allowed to do it. So the Gemara did not elaborate onto why Ula did it, but of course he did it under a very clean and kosher term. Let's see the Gemara weiter. There are 18 things that they were geyser that day in the Aliyah by Hanani. So let's see what happened. What are those gzeiros that we had? Zog to Gemara. What are those 18 things? Ditnan, Elu Poisel Nesat Truma. The following Poisel Truma. Now, we know that Truma can become even a Shlishi Lotoma. Now, Truma cannot touch, a Truma, that Shlishi cannot touch another piece of Truma and make it into a Revi. So if Truma that's a Shlishi, even though you're not allowed to eat that Truma, if it touches anything else, no problem. Now, we know there's a rule that a person, cannot become Tamei Tumas Oichel. So if you touch any Oichel that's Tamei, typically it would be a Rishon. Tumas Oichel at the most is a Rishon. So if a human touches a piece of food that's Tamei, Midaraisa he's not Tamei. He's not Tamei at all. The only type of Chila Tmea, the only type of food that a human can become Tamei from Midaraisa is an Avelas Oiftar. If you have an oiftar that became a nevela, was not shechted, and a person eats it, there it's metame the person and makes the person into an avatoma, and it even makes his kalim, it even makes his clothing tame bebeis habliya, only while swallowing it. But touching that toma does nothing at all. So the only case of an oichel tame that could be metame a person midaraisa is nevelas oiftar that you swallow. However, any other type of tumas oichel that you become tame by touching, midaraisa does not affect a human. However, there's a gzeira that a person who does touch, the person who eats, let's see Rashi, let's see the Gemara weiter, oichel rishon, someone who eats a meichel that has a tumas rishon on it, which really midaraisa should not impact him at all, or oichel sheni, or if someone eats a piece of food that's a sheni l'toma, or vashoyse mashkin tmein, or somebody who drinks mashkin that's tummy. Again, all these things should not be able to be mitame a person midaraisa. Or v'abor roishe v'ruboy b'mayim shuvim, if someone immersed himself, his roishe v'ruboy, into mayim shuvim, or v'tahar shenaflu al roishe v'ruboy shloisha lugan mayim shuvim, or a tahar person that it fell on him 3 lugan of mayim shuvim, and 3 lugan of mayim shuvim is I think about 2 liters. The sefer and svarim, like kisvei kodesh, like Torah Nevi'im Ksuvim, Rashi says, and v'hayodayim, and people's hands, if they don't wash until Yadayim, the Rabbanan was gozer tum on them. V'atful yoin, and somebody who already toiveled from a tumah, and he's waiting for nightfall, because at nightfall is when his tumah is released. V'ha'oichlin v'akelim shenitlu b'mashkin, or food and kelim that became tamei through a mashkin. All those cases are poisel truma. All these things posel truma, meaning if a person ate an oichel rishon, really he's not tamei, but if he touches a piece of truma, that truma will no longer be allowed to be eaten, and that's Gzeirah D'Rabbanan. So all of these cases, if they came into contact with truma, that truma may no longer be eaten. Now that truma cannot infect anything else, but the truma itself is now disqualified; it cannot be eaten. Zok the Gemara, Man Tana, who is the Tana that holds ha'oichel oichel rishon v'ha'oichel oichel sheni mifsel pasli tmuye loy metama? Who is the author? Who is the Tana that holds that if you eat food that's a rishon l'tuma, or if you eat food that's a sheni l'tuma, that it passes the truma if you touch it? So a person who ate oichel rishon, he passes truma, but that truma will no longer be able to go ahead and be metama anything else. Omer Rabbi Bar Chana, Rabbi Yeshua. This is the shita of the Tana Rabbi Yeshua. Titnan, Rabbi Eliezer Omer, ha'oichel oichel rishon, rishon. Rabbi Eliezer holds, if you eat oichel rishon, you actually become a rishon. And that means you're going to be metama truma. If you touch truma, it'll become a sheni. And then that sheni could now touch other truma and make it into a shlishi. So that's much more severe than with the shita we're discussing. Because here you're actually going to make the truma tamei, and that truma will actually be able to be metama other truma. Or v'oichel oichel sheni, and oichel shlishi is shlishi. Rabbi Shua Omer ha'oichel oichel rishon v'oichel sheni is a sheni. Either way, if you eat a rishon or a sheni, you only become a sheni. And shlishi, and so if you're a sheni, that means if you touch truma, you make the truma into a shlishi. That truma becomes pasul, but that truma can no longer affect anything else and pasul anything else. But if you eat a shlishi, then you're a sheni l'kodesh. If you touch kachim, we treat you like a sheni, and you'll be able to be metama kachim. But the ain't sheni l'truma, but you will not pasul truma. I think we should stop here because this already gets into a whole new sugya. So thank you very much, and Mitzvah will be mamshich tomorrow from this sugya. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day, and the Rebbeinu Shalom should help that we should see the Rebbeinu Shalom's hand in these tzaros. We should learn and benefit from them, and we should be zoicha to a nisim and a big Yeshua, the Karav Mamish. Thank you.